Hello, and welcome back to another episode of VIPs in Action, Village Innovating Perinatal Support in Action, brought to you by Rose Breastfeeding here in the Atlanta metro area and JMM Health Solutions. I am Dr. Joanne Michelle Martin, the owner of JMM Health Solutions and a pelvic floor therapist. And with me today, I have a very special guest. I say that about all of them, but they really are some amazing human beings, and they're doing such great work within their communities. And today's guest is absolutely no exception. Today, I have with me Miss Amber Pendergraph-Lee. Amber is the lead doula at Birth Matters in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where she's been a community-based doula for over 10 years. She's a Spartanburg native. She's a mom of 4. Kudos to her. I think she's a superhero and has attained many levels of expertise in her field, in addition to being certified as a doula by Donor International. She's a certified lactation consultant. She's a medical assistant and a certified community health worker. So she's all around amazing, y'all. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you guys to Amber. How are you this morning?
I am well, Dr. Martin. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, this series has been highlighting some amazing individuals throughout the country who were recipients of this amazing grant from Rose Breastfeeding. They've been doing such great things, and I'm so excited to hear your story. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located. I know you're in South Carolina, but tell us a little bit about that and then the community that you serve.
Okay, so I am a community-based doula. I have been doing that for a little over 10 years. I trained in the community in which I serve. So, and I'm also the lead community-based doula here with Birth Matters in Spartanburg. I also supervise 2 community-based doulas, as well as providing that physical, emotional, education support in a culturally sensitive way to young expectant mothers. So within our program, we serve mothers at 24 and younger at no cost to them. And we do prenatal education. We go to them so they don't have to come to us, just talking about what's going on with them, their body, prenatal education, helping them create a birthing plan, and we're there for the birth. Continuous labor support when active labor begins. And then we follow mom and baby until baby is a year old, just talking about introducing solid skin to skin, developmental milestones. And also we support with doctor's appointments. If a family member, well, with COVID, I've been doing virtual doctor's appointments. So if my mom goes into an appointment and she needs that support, and I call my clients moms, so I don't want to lose anyone. So if they're going into their appointments because of COVID, we're not able to physically be there. We can attend virtually, and it just gives our moms, our clients, just a little more confidence when they're in the doctor's office, just to help prepare them to advocate for themselves. Because if a mom can't advocate for herself, how can she advocate for her baby? And so I also assist with helping build our family's confidence, like I said, by advocating for them. And that's pretty much what we do in a nutshell.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love doulas. I'm a birth doula. I tell people all the time, when you see a baby born, it is the most fascinating thing and it never gets old. I don't
No.
want to be the person on the birthing end. I don't want to have anymore. I got 2, I quit. My births were really good, so I'm happy about that. But it never gets old, and it's such a beautiful thing. And unfortunately, we know, well, I should say, fortunately, we know that doula support, birth support is very helpful. We know that it decreases, cesarean births. We know that it helps with improving labor outcomes, delivery outcomes. But still, a lot of people do not know what a doula is. Do you find that that is the case in your community and the surrounding areas? Do you feel like you have to educate a lot about what you guys do, who you guys are, and how you can help?
Of course. In the beginning, oh my goodness, people were like calling me medulla, your medulla oblongata, referring to, they just really didn't know what doula services were or what doulas did. So now we've been in a community, we have like established relationship with partners. So a lot of people, and it's a whole doula movement. So now a lot of people are like, I know what a doula is. I want a doula. I need a doula. And I feel like one of the reasons that I do the work I do um, is the hugest piece is advocacy, right?
Mhm.
But even bigger is support. So my mom passed away in my last month of pregnancy. This was her first grandchild. She loved children. And so I had my aunts, and we're like family oriented, really close. And so they were telling me things about labor, birth, and I was like, oh, it cannot be that bad. Everyone keeps having children. They were telling me their stories, and everyone else, all this unsolicited advice. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was kind of fearful on top of the stress, from losing my mom. So I really didn't know what to expect. And I just mentally, I was not at a place to even think or look into what my labor and birth would be. I was like, I'm just going to go to the hospital and I'm going to have this baby. And so I did, and it spiraled. My aunt was like, yeah, listen to the doctors. It's been years since I had a baby. My baby is older than you. So you just listen to the doctors. So in my mind, I'm feeling like I'm in the right place. They do this every day. They know what they're doing. So I just kind of let it flow, you know. And so I felt like now my birth was robbed. Like I was robbed of that. So that's one of the reasons I do the work that I do, to let the moms know that they have their options, to educate them on labor, birth, prenatal education. And so once the people in the community have been touched by a doula, a community-based doula, they are like, I didn't know y'all did all that. I wish I would have had a doula. Like my child, she went in and she knew what they was giving her. She knew what was going on. And then at her doctor's appointment, she spoke up, she asked questions. And I mean, to me, it's magical because
Mhm.
some women, they don't even know they need a doula. And I feel like women that look like me, it's life changing and it can actually save your life.
Yeah.
Just because of implicit bias, systematic racism, and we have a higher infant mortality rate, a higher maternal mortality rate. I was just at a birth last week. I know I'm everywhere, but catch me. I was just at a birth 2 weeks ago. Um, and this is another reason of why I do the work that I do. um the mom had already had a baby, so she knew what labor was, but I educated her on things that she didn't know about. She was just like, Amber, I waited to the last minute, I had a natural birth, and that's what happened. But she didn't know anything about a birthing plan. She didn't know a lot about her routine doctor's appointments. And so I really took the time and I educated her. We met once a week, every week, via phone. But through Rose, she received the iPad. So we had some, face to face. She had an iPad. So we had some face to face visits. So that was amazing. So she wouldn't walk into a birth with someone she never saw. So I was at her birth. She was induced actually because of her blood pressure. So it was so totally different from her first pregnancy. And so I was calling, and we don't come until active labor begins. And she was like at a she was 2 centimeters dilated. And so I was like, I gotta stop calling her. I just feel like I need to go, because her brother was calling me, her mom was calling me, and they were like, it's something going on, and we just really need you to be here to just kind of fill us in. And I'm like, thinking to myself, the nurses, are they not asking questions? So I just said, I'm gonna go on up to the hospital. So immediately when I went to the hospital, I checked on my patient. I'm talking to her. I'm asking her, is she comfortable? Doulas, we help with changing positions. We help with comfort measures. Sometimes just your presence relaxes the mom, because she's like, oh, I know this person. No shade to the nurse. The nurse, this is the first time she's meeting this client.
Mhm.
I have been involved with this client for over 20 weeks. So
Mhm.
it's like, oh, she's family. So, okay. I'm talking to her, and the nurse sees how she's responding to me. So the nurse immediately starts talking to me. And I'm like, what is going on? The family said that, Amber, she's not even talking to us. We don't know what's going on. She just told us that she's up in the Pitocin and she's on a max dose, and we don't really know why she's up in the Pitocin. Prenatal education, we talk about Pitocin and the natural process of labor and what can happen in labor. So they knew what Pitocin was, but they didn't understand why she was on the highest dose, and she's at 2 centimeters. And so we were talking about her options, and then a nurse just started talking to me. And so I talked to the nurse, and when the nurse walked out, they said, that's the most she ever talked, Amber. And I was like, really? And they was like, yeah, she's not talking to us. And I was like, oh, that's strange. So as the day progressed, the nurse continued to talk to me, and I noticed, and she was a nurse that didn't look like me. I mean, she was white. So, but it was still interesting to me that she was responding to me the way that she did. So the birth carried on, and as it carried on, I started to notice that she wasn't engaged with my client, the family, or anything. So I'm like, what is going on? It was fascinating to me, but I still tended to my patient, and I let her know her options. We ended up getting an epidural because she was on the max dose of Pitocin, and her cervix wasn't changing. And that it infuriated me to see the nurse, but I had to be quiet because as her doula, I'm helping her advocate for herself. I cannot advocate for her, but I can feel. And then I saw her family. So me being a doula, it's not just it's emphasis on the mom, but I'm doula of this entire family. So I'm like, this woman is gonna always remember her birthing experience. So I said, Amber, you have to be doula to everyone. So I pulled everyone in. This is pre-epidural. I got mom to do some comfort measures, slow dances. I got brother involved, and brother was like, listen, I can't take this anymore. This nurse is like grinding my gears, Amber. She is not listening to us. And I said, you can always talk to her, tell her what you need, or you can ask for another nurse. Just letting him know his options. And he was like, I want my sisters to do that because I don't want her to be like, why did you do that? So we went ahead and got an epidural because they wanted to release water. So we got our epidural. And my mom had been handling those, my client had been handling those contractions. They were back to back to back to back. She was handling them well. And when she got her epidural, she was kind of comfortable. She was like, okay, I can relax. My body can relax so my cervix can dilate so my baby can get here. I was like, game on. So we still were keeping her comfortable. She was, for the most part, comfortable. And it was like 45 minutes later, she started to get in some more discomfort. And then it got worse and worse. And so he told the nurse. The nurse said, well, you're supposed to feel something. It's not going to take all the pain away. Clearly she's feeling something, but she's telling you that she's in pain, and as your job, is to, pay attention to what your clients needs. Not even pay attention. She's verbally telling you this, but you can tell by her body language that she's in a lot of discomfort. So at this point, I stepped out the room and I spoke with another nurse that I knew, just talking, not even really about her. I just needed to clear my head. I stepped out for a second and I stepped back in because my mom was occupied with her mom. So they were talking. So I said, I'm going to take this moment. And I stepped out just to clear my head because I didn't want to bring any tension. This is, I'm supposed to be her safe place. And so she said, but I'm telling you, I'm in pain. And that's one of the things that I do see with healthcare providers is that I don't know if it's, hey, Black women exaggerate about pain, or is, we have a higher pain tolerance. If she's physically telling you, hey, I'm in pain, listen to her. Listen to her. It's not a disservice to you. Either way, you're going to get paid. So another nurse came in. It was about shift change. And I said, I had to speak up. I said, hey, she's in a lot of pain. Can someone come in, and just check on her and see what's going on, or see if the epidural took? The nurse said, I'm on it. Someone is coming right now. And so the nurse anesthetist had to come back, and they basically had to redose her because, with the epidural, it's like a blind stick. You don't know if it's going to take fully, partially, one side, another side. So when we got a new nurse, the whole atmosphere changed. The whole entire.
Isn't it amazing how just one thing can change and it just makes all the difference? Or
Yes.
one person could be removed and it makes all the difference.
You know what? We went from a 2, we stayed at a 2 for, oh my goodness. We changed nurses, got comfortable. We were at pushing within 2 hours, and that was freaking amazing. And my mom really, really couldn't advocate for herself because she was in
She was in
pain.
pain.
She was in pain, so she really could not, and so that's why doulas are needed. We're just a tool in your toolbox, to help you have that successful birth in whatever that looks like.
Yep.
Medicated, unmedicated.
I mean, you brought up some things there that I could go on. I mean, I can get on my soapbox and go on for days on, where we talk about the disparities in healthcare as it relates to minority women, specifically Black women, when we talk about implicit biases that individuals may have, especially as it relates to pain. There was a study done in 2018, and medical providers were interviewed. And this is 2018. Mind you, it was published 2018. And in that article of trained doctors, these are people who are tasked with saving lives. They all, like majority of them, reported that they felt that Black people felt pain differently. And I was like, but this is 2018. I mean, come on, people. And the question is why? Neurologically, we're the same. Physically, when you talk about our makeup, we're the same. Physiologically, we're the same. So then why do you have that assumption? And these were the people that were tasked with helping people. I've seen cases where, I remember working in the mother baby unit and having to go see a client, not as a doula, but as a pelvic floor therapist. And this was a Hispanic young lady. And the nurse's demeanor was just appalling. She was like, I need this patient moved. Then move her yourself. Because if you come at me like that, then we're going to have a problem. Like, let's have a conversation, but just don't come barking orders, right?
Right.
I need this patient moved. That was literally her approach. I said, okay, hold on. What's happening with the patient? Because I got a lot of people that I've got to work with, so do I need to make this individual a priority? What's happening with mom? What's going on? Well, she's just crying all the time. She's just crying like she has no pain tolerance. How do you know that? How do you make that assumption of an individual? Followed by, well, Hispanic women. I'm like, whoa, time out, time out. You cannot make that generalization on a client, on a patient, on anybody. So I already was upset. I said, well, tell me what the pain complaints are. Well, she's just complaining she can't move. I just think she's being lazy. I'm like, she had a cesarean yesterday. How is she being lazy? And so actually, it wasn't even, she had a cesarean earlier that day. I said, how is she being lazy? I said, she may legitimately be in pain. So when she started to describe the pain, I said, I need a CT scan. Tell the doctor, put in the orders for a CT scan, because I was thinking pelvic girdle pain. And so I said, and make sure that they put a rush order in. So when the order comes back, I said, text me, let me know when the results are in. I'll look at it and come up to the floor. And I went to look. And this young lady had a pubic symphysis separation that was above what is considered normal. So normally your pubic symphysis is around 4 to 7 millimeters. That's like this, right? So like half a centimeter on average. And it can increase by 2 millimeters during pregnancy. She was at 14 millimeters.
Oh my.
So you can see she was twice as much, there was twice as much separation as what needed to be there. So now her pelvis felt like it was unstable. She was having pain, right? Every time she moved, the muscles attached to that area are going to generate pain. And she had a cesarean less than 24 hours. So when I went to the nurse, she's like, well, you need to move her because she's just crying all the time. And I think it's ridiculous. And my comment to her was, imagine someone did not like you and kicked you repeatedly in your crotch with a steel toe boot. And I saw her shudder. I said, that right there, that is what this young lady is feeling, probably times 10. The fact that you shudder at, just the thought of it, that's what she's feeling. But you automatically made the assumption that she is, somehow not not in, not doing what she's supposed to, or whatever the case may be. And I said, that's wrong. You can't just do that. And I go into the room, and this young lady is in pain. She is crying. The family is there, the family is upset, and no one is talking to them. So I completely understand what you mean when we talk about patient advocacy. And since then, there have been other studies as it relates to how, different different issues with pain, different diagnoses surrounding pain, and how Black individuals, when it comes to pain and they report pain, even if they're given medication, they're typically underdosed. Or they're not given any pain medication at all, you
Mm-hmm.
know and so, and it's something that continues to happen even till today, and there's evidence of this all around. So the fact that, these are things that moms still have to deal with. What if they didn't have someone advocating for them? What if they weren't educated before they went into that delivery room? And then we wonder why the level of trauma, or level of reported trauma from birth, is so high. It is absolutely astonishing. So I thank you, and I commend you for all that you do, because it is still so necessary even today. We're in 2021, and sometimes I feel like we've taken 10 steps backwards,
Mm-hmm.
when we should have been moving forward as a society. um, but that being said, what during this time, during this climate, I know you said you've been able to switch to, seeing clients virtually, seeing clients, talking to them on the telephone. How have you been able to still continue to serve your mamas during COVID? Was your community, horribly affected? Did you find that, maybe were you not allowed into hospitals? What were some of the changes that you experienced, and how were some of the ways that you countered that?
Okay, so we did face challenges, and I do feel like our community was hit pretty hard. So for us, we're a home visiting agency, so we go out to the homes weekly, and that's to help build rapport, um, and just do our magic face to face. Um, so and then also we're able to accompany at doctor's appointments. We were no longer able to accompany our families at their doctor's appointments, and of course the huge show is the birth. That is
Hmm.
that's what I'm here for. So we were not able to attend births when COVID first hit. So we couldn't go into the hospitals. It was just, and the reason we could, but the birthing mom could only have one support person, and that one support person would have to be able to stay the entire time. Well, like you said in the beginning, I have 4 children, so I cannot commit myself to staying the entire birth and then 1 or 2 days after you deliver. So we are mindful when we tell our moms, like, we want to be there. Maybe we can create a birthing plan where virtually I can be there. Um, because they want to pick a support person that's going to be there from start to finish. So it was challenging in the beginning. And also with just doing phone visits, because a lot of our clients, they're low income.
Hmm.
So they may have lost their job. They may not, have the Wi-Fi to FaceTime us, or to do Zoom meetings, or however you may have it. So we just had to stick to the phone visits. And I am a huge advocate of breastfeeding. I'll talk to you about one challenge that I face. If I'm visiting a mom in her home, when we're talking about some of the challenges she may have with breastfeeding, it may take me 5 minutes, 10, 20 to assess what's going on and to help her with that issue. But when you're on the phone, oh my goodness, one time it took me an hour and 20 minutes. And I am one of the most impatient people you will ever meet. But when it comes to birth, baby, and breastfeeding, I am so patient. That's how I knew I was born to do this, because I'm that person in the car that's honking the horn, get out of the way. And I'm at the doctor's office, like, oh my goodness, what? I'm very impatient, except when it comes to those things. Everyone else is twiddling their fingers at birth and everything, but it took me an hour and 20 minutes to assess what was going on with his mom. And it was something so simple. And if I was seeing her, I would have caught on to this early on. So we're talking about the baby's latch, how the baby latch is going, and everything. And finally, at the end, I was like, okay, what kind of bra are you wearing? An hour and 20 minutes later, what kind of bra? And she was like, oh, I have on a sports bra. And I was like, oh, okay, that's the issue. So, and if I was able to FaceTime her, then I would see that as well. Um, so telehealth, with us being able to see our clients, has helped out with a lot, with even with education, because everyone learns differently.
Mm.
And sometimes people have their children that they have to tend to, other distractions in the back. So if we're FaceTiming each other or doing some type of face to face, they're more engaged. So one of the barriers for us was just not being able to be physically present. That was a huge barrier. And of course, a lot of our families were impacted due to losing their jobs and so on and so forth. So those were some. And of course, mental health was a challenge. We've never been in this place before. Everyone's having to adjust. So we had a lot of clients that had issues, with depression, with just mental health as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a tough time all around, for many people, financially, emotionally, psychologically. It's been tough all around. In terms of the grant that you received from Rose, how has that been able to help you and the families that you serve, as you transition through this new period, now having to talk on the phone, now having to do FaceTimes and things like that? How were you able to continue serving moms, especially in cases where you couldn't go into the hospital? What did that start to look like for you?
Oh, and I do want to share a success that we were able to go into the hospitals in November. Our relationship, we have just one little hospital here. Well, one big hospital, not little, one big hospital in the small community. And so we had some people that were our doulas that were advocating for us. And so we were able to attend the birth physical and not count as a support person. So that was huge
Good.
for the families that we serve. But how has Rose impacted us? Oh my goodness. Huge, immensely. I mean, I can go on, and that is my mom's being able to have Wi-Fi, for them to have cell phones, for them to have breast pumps. Oh my goodness. That was one of the biggest things, because a lot of my moms are like, I gotta go back to work. What am I gonna do? I need a breast pump. And so just having something to be one and done, and not have to jump through hoops and loops to get this done, to get that done. They're able to have blood pressure cuffs if need be. Cell phone reimbursement. Like if you lose your job and someone can't reach you, some of our clients use Wi-Fi for their phone services. So their phones being able to be turned on so they could be successful in every aspect of life. So they can call family members if they need support. They can call their doula. They can answer the phone if a job is calling them. With telehealth, just the iPad, being able to say, hey, if I can't make it to this appointment, maybe I can make me a virtual appointment. Them being able to virtually see us, it's like, oh, I get to see my doula, and we get to educate them, show them items that we have, to educate them on breastfeeding, prenatal education, whatever the case may need to be. And then also we get to see those cute babies. They show us.
Isn't that the best part?
Yeah.
I tell people that's the best part. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So Rose has helped in that aspect, especially with communication. That is the hugest. But I'm gonna tell you what's even bigger. Here at Birth Matters, we have a contract therapist who comes to our clients, but since COVID is hit, she has to see our clients virtually. And of course, they don't, our families, they don't pay us. It's no cost to them. We are paid, of course. And our contract therapist, our families don't have to pay her. Birth Matters reimburses the contract therapist. So they're able to see the contract therapist because they have Wi-Fi and they have tablets and things from Rose. So that is another huge
Wow.
component. So we're able to meet our family needs. emotionally, and I feel like physically too, in terms of telehealth when you're thinking of iPads, Wi-Fi, phone service. So it's a all around. It helped us tremendously.
Wow, that does sound that sounds amazing. That sounds absolutely amazing. And people need that. People needed to be able to connect because I think the stress of everything going on, things closing down, people wondering, well, how am I going to see my providers? What am I going to do? The stress of that and then possibly not having any support, that could have been a bit much for many people. So the fact that you were able to continue to serve these moms, to be there, to be present in some capacity is really good. And I know that they are truly appreciative because now they are comforted even during this time. So what's next for Birth Matters? What's next for you guys on the horizon in terms of, how, moving forward, serving the community, any projects that you guys have in play?
So we're always evolving. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Now we have us a TikTok, which is, we
Ooh.
have to stay relevant. We have to stay
Mhm.
relevant. One of the things that I love about Birth Matters and the things that we do, I love everything about it. I said it maybe 100 times, but I absolutely love it because I'm serving families that look like me. And I'm delivering that information in a way that they can retain it. And it's almost like the trickle effect. So once that trust is built with my families, they will like, oh, Amber says she has a therapist. And I'm like, yes, girl, I got a therapist, been in there for 3 years and it's self-care for me. Then, my families, they're like, oh, I may need to try that. And so they're normalizing um, therapy within the community. So I'm also a CHW. I'm a community health worker as well. So I'm in the community a lot. So one of the things that we're doing is just elevating the CHW voice as well as the doula voice.
Mhm.
We are hosting live sessions on Mondays, meeting with moms on Mondays through Instagram, where we meet with families, the families that we serve or may have served in the past, and they're just giving their experience of doula services and what we all do. We're just looking to grow, maybe expand, get a little more doulas so we can do more work within this
More
community.
work, yeah.
Yes. Um, so that's what we're thinking of doing. But of course, we have to secure that funding so we can hire more doulas and pay them for the amazing work that they do.
That's awesome. I love it. I just love all of this. And like I said, I mean, I come into each of these interviews and it's wonderful to hear what other people are doing in their respective communities. But it's refreshing to know that even though we've been so hard hit during this pandemic, that there are people out there on the ground doing amazing work. That there are people that continue to serve moms, that continue to serve families in some capacity. And that the what I hear in every interview that I've done is the energy and the passion and the commitment to what you guys are working on and how you guys are serving these individuals in your community. And let me tell you, that is a beautiful thing. That is an absolutely beautiful thing. I love that. And for those of you guys listening, you know, Ms. Amber has detailed all of what doulas do. And I know we've had other doulas on as well. But guys, think about it. If you are a mom, if you're planning on being pregnant, right? Because start before you get pregnant. If you're
Yeah.
planning on being pregnant, if you are currently pregnant, even if you're postpartum, and there are postpartum doulas out there as well, but find that person, find that support, find that advocate for you. It can make the world of difference in your birth experience, the world of difference. So definitely look into, if you are in the Spartanburg area, you want to find Amber and Birth Matters. How else can they find you? You said you're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. What are your handles?
Well, we have, it's Birth Matters SC, Birth Matters underscore SC, Birth Matters Spartanburg. Let me see, let me make sure. I'm gonna pause on that one so I can, you can erase that one. On Facebook, Birth Matters Spartanburg SC, Instagram, Birth Matters, _SC, Twitter Birth Matters _SC, YouTube is Birth Matters Spartanburg, and Birth Matters is all one word.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So guys, you heard it, and we are going to have that information in the show notes as well, so that as you guys are viewing this, if you guys have questions, if you guys want to reach out to Amber and the Birth Matters crew, if you guys are needing doula support, community lactation support, anything surrounding birth, because they're going to be an amazing resource for you, not only in their respective areas of specialty, but also in other things that you may need. So if you are in need of resources, of support, please reach out to Birth Matters. And is it birthmatters.org?
It is.
Yeah, birthmatters.org, and get all your information there, and get in touch with Amber and all the amazing individuals at Birth Matters. Well, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning for this interview. And like I said, I'm absolutely in awe of what you do. I love what you do. I don't know how you do this with 4 kids.
Sometimes they're my doulas.
You know what? I can see that. Mine, I have 2, and that's how mine are. And they take care of mommy. And, I love them to that. I don't know if I want to have any more. They're on the campaign right now. They've been double teaming me for number 3. I'm like, okay, y'all hang out over here. I hear you. You.
Mine want pets, and we can't do pets right now.
We had the pet before the kids. Oh. We're getting another pet, so we're good in the pet department. So now they're like, now we want babies. And I'm like, ooh, you got cousins. This is why you have cousins, and this is why God, brings good people in your life. You got friends. Go play with a friend. So it's amazing. But thank you again so much for being here, for being a part of this, for being such an advocate, an amazing resource in your community. Guys, if you are listening again, please check out birthmatters.org to find out any information regarding their doula services, lactation services, and anything else that you may be inquiring on if you are a mom who's preparing to become pregnant, or if you are already pregnant. Please check them out. Amber, thank you so much again. And guys, we will see you on the next episode of VIPs in Action. Take care.
Bye.